Good evening, friends. My name is Seth Oster Rosen. I'm a PhD student in the philosophy of religions here at the University of Chicago Divinity School. And on behalf of the U-Chicago Buddhist Association and the Buddhist Studies Club, I would like to welcome you to the second of Khenpo Sodargye Rinpoche's talks at the University of Chicago. Rinpoche's talk on Monday was focused on the life and work of his teacher, the renowned 20th century Tibetan Buddhist scholar and master, Khenpo Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche. Tonight's talk here in Bonn Chapel will be more focused on teaching a contemporary Buddhist view of the world and is titled, A Way to Think in Turbulent Times.
First, a special thanks to Professor Widmeyer for allowing us to gather in this chapel where we can freely and openly exchange ideas with everyone. Some professors just mentioned that in this chapel, people of various religions frequently share ideas and perspectives. This is very meaningful, I believe so. Whether we're Westerners or Easterners, humanity has entered the 21st century. Today in the 21st century, as the professor just said, we cannot abandon our traditional religions and cultures. These remain crucial to us. At the same time, we must adapt to this age of technological change. This integration of ancient and modern culture, for many young people today, may not be fully understood. Some young people hold differing views, but actually we should recognize, whether examining history or observing current reality, the integration of East and West, religion and modern science, and traditional culture meeting today's era. The various challenges or crises we face require mutual adjustment. This is absolutely crucial. Today's topic is mindfulness in turbulent times. This was proposed by the university because at the end of last year, your presidential election had just concluded, and sometime after it ended, I was preparing to come here. I asked the university to propose this topic. Apparently, many people here felt the political situation at that time had created various mental instabilities. From a Buddhist perspective, this relatively turbulent, or rather chaotic time, how to adjust one's mindset. That's how this topic was proposed. Originally, I was supposed to come in February of this year, but various circumstances prevented me. So not until today, at the end of 2017, we're analyzing a topic from last year. In other words, a topic from the end of last year, we're reconsidering and examining anew at the end of last year. Whether here in America, sometimes political differences among various parties lead to very intense debates. Each faction's thoughts and conditions differ greatly. Mental states sometimes become quite agitated. Of course, not only America, including Brexit, all sorts of events occur worldwide. Looking at past history, no nation's trajectory has been entirely smooth. Various situations arise. Thus, in every nation, whether politically, economically, or due to other factors, various kinds of mental imbalances are a natural pattern. Throughout human history, I believe this is a pattern. As long as humans exist, mental fluctuations and imbalances will persist. I observe that our society now differs from the past in many ways. Change is extraordinarily rapid. Previously, over hundreds or thousands of years, major transformations occurred periodically. But now, technologically speaking, every month or every 18 months, 6 months, new technologies continually emerge. So, when people face this, sometimes it's quite distressing. The knowledge we've learned often becomes obsolete because worldwide, technological advancement and change are especially rapid, particularly with the emergence of artificial intelligence. Many positions, many people are being laid off. I saw a report from a bank collaborating with Oxford University. This February, it stated, what humanity urgently faces now is this. In America, 47%, in Britain, 35%, in China, even more severe. Those laid off, replaced by robots, 77%. Facing such a situation, many positions people are familiar with now will gradually be replaced by robots. At that point, most people, as recently mentioned in a book, will likely have no jobs, nothing to do. Resources will be controlled by a few intelligent, skilled individuals. So humanity actually now faces an unprecedented problem or challenge. During the Industrial Revolution worldwide, massive changes also occurred. At that time, most blue-collar workers were laid off, many replaced by machines. Ultimately, humanity paid a heavy price, including severe environmental destruction. Now, many intellectuals, teachers, lawyers, translators, many often tell me, I enjoy translation work. Now translation tools are quite advanced. You could be laid off too. Many say this. So indeed, many positions are undergoing gradual transformations. When decades-long careers change, we humans feel, whether Eastern or Western, a sense of fear and insecurity. Precisely because of this, scientist Stephen Hawking deeply worries about this era. He believes, whether from climate change, various wars breaking out, or technology, humanity faces its most critical moment in history. That's one aspect. Another, when I was younger, I never heard the term terrorist. But in recent years, the organization ISIS has been extremely rampant worldwide. In every country, every place, different forms of terrifying incidents, shootings, vehicle attacks, etc. occur. Not only organized groups like this, but even individual acts. Yesterday, on my way to tour Chicago, many people warned me, don't stare too much, even at beggars. Otherwise, if they get upset, they might pull out a gun and shoot you. So I constantly carry a sense of fear or insecurity. Last October, a 64-year-old man in Las Vegas opened fire on crowds from the 32nd floor. Within minutes, he killed 59 people and injured 527. From such behavior, though a lone wolf act, his mindset remains unknown to this day. He was wealthy, capable, but why? Hard to say. This became one of America's largest mass shootings in history. Such acts, why now, unprecedented horrors that never happened before occur in this most technologically advanced era. People seemingly should be affluent, satisfied. Yet in such times, why do these historically unprecedented events occur so frequently on such a massive scale? What's the reason? Our mental states may fluctuate and change with different times. Previously, worldwide, when terrifying phenomena occurred, if someone was religious, they might resolve it through prayer. If worldly people, they might seek help from capable others. So previously, many nations, when helpless, would wonder, can America save us? They often hoped, America is the most responsible, most powerful nation. But personally, I believe America itself now sometimes has many incidents occurring. In my impression, America strongly advocates freedom, equality, and peace, bearing tremendous responsibility toward the whole world, helping many weak nations worldwide. In this process, now, actually, I believe such powerful strength still exists. But I don't want to discuss the bigger picture when we personally encounter these things. For example, our lifelong livelihood. Each of us may face health care when sick, elderly care when old, whether marital relationships can be maintained. In our personal lives, when various troubles and sufferings arise, what methods can solve these problems? Actually, according to Buddhist perspective, it's best to balance our mindset, recognize and unlock it. This is extremely important. Everyone in life encounters various different things. At such times, some may experience afflictions and suffering. We should actively use wisdom to face them, ideally transforming adversity and difficulties into wisdom or joy. If truly unchangeable, we need methods to accept and recognize it. Actually, Buddhism teaches all phenomena are created by one's own mind. This doesn't deny external events truly occurring, but among events that occur, most components actually have little relation to external circumstances. They relate enormously to one's own mind. In our minds exist negative aspects. What we call negative, Buddhism calls greed, hatred, delusion. Greed, hatred, delusion, perhaps different from some worldly views. What I call greed here is excessive desire, not ideal aspiration, but excessive desire. What is excessive desire? Some desires may continually expand. For example, the iPhone X. In China, Reportedly, yesterday afternoon on the 27th, within minutes, all orders sold out. Minutes, reportedly. I'm unclear about America's situation, but actually I think when the iPhone first came out, everyone eagerly pursued it too. But now, many no longer use that initial version. So people, through successful advertising 2 months earlier, ultimately everyone thinks, if only I get this, all my hopes will be fulfilled. It's like that. Actually, part of this emotion, we should say, is our desire becoming overly inflated regarding our anger and hatred. For instance, spousal quarrels. Originally, the incident itself is quite minor, but because of your own mental projections, ultimately, tiny matters get blown completely out of proportion. Some may tremble when speaking, becoming extremely dissatisfied with their partner. Eventually, it escalates to harming or abandoning the other person. Many such emotional states occur because we fail to recognize our own mental state. This is the most terrifying situation that arises. Actually, such excessive desire and excessive anger, their root lies in our failure to recognize the mind's true nature. If we recognize the mind's true nature, we view worldly events with equanimity, resolve them with wisdom, face them with courage. On this point, I think he should be American. A personal development expert named Tony Robbins said, "What affects us isn't external circumstances or encounters, it's our own mindset." Actually, from this statement, we can find some balance. When anything happens, perhaps we shouldn't first blame or complain about others. We should first observe our inner state. Regarding inner suffering, we should recognize and analyze it. Regarding this, when we encounter terror or fear, how do we face it? I'll offer several key terms. First, equanimity. Second, insight. Third, I think everyone should go with the flow. Just these few to discuss. And third, add acceptance. First, let me explain. When events occur, our mindset must remain composed. Whether major international or domestic incidents or smaller matters, family affairs, personal health issues. Last year, my mother, 83 years old, passed away. When she died, my heart was indeed quite unsettled. She was especially kind to me. When she left, my heart still felt, but I reflected. Regarding this matter, no matter what, I had no way to save her. No matter how, there was no way to save her. In such circumstances, our minds must settle into composure. At that time, I recalled, whether from Japan, China, or elsewhere, I forget, a story about a Zen master. A woman's 11-year-old daughter died. When she died, the mother was extremely devastated. Her child had been so lovely. She went to a Dharma master. "My daughter died. What do I do?" The master said, "You must let go." She said, "How can I let go? The child was so lovable." She kept crying like this. Then the master told her, "Cry for 3 days, 3 months, 3 years. It's useless. If you continue crying, negative emotions will only intensify further. This way, you'll face even more problems. Therefore, you must still recognize your mind, settle into equanimity. This is truly reasonable." So in our lives, things may occur where sometimes you have no way to change them. Extremely painful events will definitely happen. At such times, the world can't change. You must change your mindset. How to change your mindset? The mind must quiet down. Don't let negative emotions escalate higher and higher. If they escalate, your original problem not only won't be resolved, but, for example, someone gets laid off or experiences heartbreak. After heartbreak, if you cry intensely or harbor strong negative emotions, perhaps your next job or relationship will be even more adversely affected. Better to let your mind settle, release these thoughts as much as possible, then adopt a new mindset. Actually, Buddhism has many new mindsets for recognizing one's own mind. Such methods are extremely numerous, so this approach is highly effective for anything occurring in the world. This is my first suggestion. Whatever happens, maintain mental equanimity. Buddhism especially emphasizes this. This is the first. Second, we must learn insight. What does insight mean? When any event occurs, we'll understand this event's causes and conditions. Actually, there are many complex causes and conditions. For example, a tree. It has its seed, water, sunlight, air. After various conditions come together, the tree can grow. Similarly, anything occurring in the world, actually, we now only see some of its results. When results manifest, we must never forget. Actually, there are many causes and conditions behind them. For instance, you experience a shooting incident. When we view it simplistically and complain, why did this happen? Actually, behind it, the person who harmed, we mentioned the 64-year-old who harming so many people. Perhaps he was controlled by others. Perhaps his emotions were unstable. Perhaps related to society, education. Many complex causes and conditions. So including you personally, me personally, whenever mental imbalance occurs, we shouldn't primarily complain. We should calmly observe its causes and conditions. In Buddhism, there's an extremely famous teaching. All phenomena arise from causes and conditions. All cease through causes and conditions. Once conditions are complete, it will definitely manifest. No way to control it. Once conditions have ceased, it will likely disappear. This existing, that exists. This arising, that arises. Many famous teachings like these. So if we can understand such principles, whether in your life or regarding many events occurring in society, we don't face them through complaining, hatred, or anger. Third is recognition, understanding. When we experience terror or fear, we should recognize it clearly. Actually, recognition means one aspect is the bigger picture of external phenomena, another is recognizing the inner state. From the external perspective, Buddhism calls this 6 perceptions of one water, that is, one bowl of water. We humans see it as life source. Hungry ghosts see it as pus and blood. Hell beings see it as burning flames. Fish and aquatic creatures see it as their dwelling. Celestial beings see it as nectar. Different beings perceive, though it's one bowl of water, different beings reach different conclusions. Actually, many things, because in the essence of phenomena, nothing truly substantial exists. For example, some American leader or something. Different people have different views. Supporters fanatically believe it should be this way. Opponents fanatically believe it should be that way. But actually, if a truly substantial thing existed in the object itself, there wouldn't necessarily be so many views. Because each person won't abandon their own viewpoint, at this time we can observe one's own mind plays the primary role, and each person's mind plays the primary role. At this time, we should know, in worldly life, anything occurring, actually, if our mind treats it with relative ease, perhaps this matter isn't necessarily so perfect, perhaps not necessarily so painful, perhaps not necessarily so ugly. For instance, someone finds their partner extremely beautiful, but later thinks she's not beautiful at all, or this person is especially good, but due to some behavior, ultimately not so good at all. This shows that if our mind isn't well adjusted, we cannot recognize the true reality of external objects. The final point is going with the flow. In our lives, whether joyful or painful events, all will change. But when change occurs, each of us should learn acceptance and going with the flow, because some things we simply cannot change. But pessimistic people, whatever happens, treat it with extremely painful thoughts, while optimistic people may view matters very optimistically. Actually, whether optimistic or pessimistic, learning to accept each different change, preparing mentally, I think is very important. In Buddhism, there's a Zen master's story. In this master's courtyard, some flowers had withered, others bloomed. One of his students preferred withered flowers, another preferred blooming ones. Yet another said, withered or blooming, both are fine. The master praised this latter view. Why? If we unilaterally feel the flower withered, extremely sad. Actually, this is also unreasonable, because flowers withering is a natural phenomenon. And regarding brilliantly blossoming flowers, thinking them especially meaningful, actually, they also won't remain for very long. In our real lives, perhaps today you're extremely wealthy, young, talented, everyone praises you, but tomorrow, very likely, no money, no talent, your former beauty gone, and much more, including your health, your livelihood. These things you never imagined can change dramatically in 1 second or within minutes. But each time change occurs, we must learn to accept it with a mindset of going with the flow, with equanimity. Embrace it, receive it. Ancient people had this saying, worldly vicissitudes, 30 years east of the river, 30 years west. That is, perhaps a nation's wealth for a period is extremely prosperous, but for another period, deeply declined. Families are the same. For a period, they're very successful, but another period may bring decline, including our personal success and failure. Actually, such changes also exist. In Buddhism, this is called impermanence. Now, when facing impermanence, does going with the flow mean just passively waiting? No, we should courageously, wisely accept it. Buddhism frequently speaks of bodhisattvas. What does bodhisattva mean? Bodhisattva means a being with a courageous heart. No matter what happens, they don't become fragile because of it, self-enclosed, deeply sorrowful. Many cases of depression nowadays arise from such mindsets, but we should be strong, possess wisdom, accept everything that occurs. These 4 aspects above, equanimity, insight, acceptance, going with the flow, these I personally often apply in my practice, in my life, when relatively distressing or difficult situations arise. First, I remind myself, my mind must settle into composure. Then, recognize the causes and conditions. After recognizing whatever happened, I must accept it. After accepting, I face it with wisdom, with relatively scientific methods. This is called going with the flow. With this approach, actually, whatever happens, it shouldn't obstruct you, shouldn't increase negative emotions. If negative emotions are reduced, what occurs greatly benefits your practice in this life, your studies, tremendously helpful. Therefore, I think, today, with everyone here, we have those with faith, without faith, those who may have different understandings of various ideas. But regardless, I come from the East, from Tibet, an ordinary monk who through many years of study offers everyone, in turbulent times, a relatively concise method for adjusting one's mindset. I myself also consider it very important. I offer this method to everyone. Now, questions, interaction, exchange, all welcome.